gonna say something that might sound kinda crazy to many of you, but I know there are some of you out there who agree. I think Call of Duty Infinite Warfare is one of the best Call of Duty campaigns of all time. Needless to say, I was super excited for Modern Warfare 2019, Infinity Ward's follow-up to Infinite Warfare, rebooting MW1 with a brand new story, and I honestly think they knocked it out of the park. Once again, Modern Warfare 2019 was fantastic. After those two games, it's cemented in my mind that Infinity Ward can do no wrong. Of course, they did do Ghosts before Infinite Warfare, but we don't really talk about that one. So you probably read the title and you're like, what the hell could be wrong with this game? I love it, it's amazing. I'm gonna share my thoughts right now. Let's get into everything wrong with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. I did not like the first half of this campaign. It really disappointed me, and I just kept thinking, it's gonna get better, right? Right? It has to get better. This is Infinity Ward. This is the team that made Infinite Warfare a Call of Duty game that actually made me cry. The first half of the campaign's missions just feel like cheap rehashes almost of previous Modern Warfare levels, all in the name of nostalgia. Which does make sense, of course you're gonna do that, but I thought that overall they just did it way too much. It felt so samey, like I had been here, done that countless times in Call of Duty campaigns. And they even included my arch nemesis, the top-down missile shooting levels. I can't stand them. I'm sure they have a place in some gamers' hearts, but every time I play one of these, I'm so freaking bored. I just wish I could click skip. Skip this section, please. This offends me more than no Russian. I really just don't want to play these sections. And in this game specifically, I felt like they did a really bad job of indicating where you're supposed to be shooting. At some point, they start shooting stuff at you, and the game doesn't even explain that you're supposed to use flare guns to block the missiles that are coming toward you. I just thought that mission was really annoying, bland, and once again, been here, done that. I didn't need to do one of these again. All because it was in the original Modern Warfare games doesn't mean it has to be in this new one. And what I'm about to say, I'm probably going to repeat multiple times, but I just feel like this campaign didn't push forward very much compared to Infinity Ward's previous campaigns where they really felt fresh and exciting. It just felt like they really played it safe with Modern Warfare 2. Speaking of pushing things forward, they really tried to make a driving section something fresh and exciting for Call of Duty, but it just didn't work. It almost feels like it was like a forced last-minute thing that they wanted to put in the campaign because they already have the mechanics built for the upcoming Warzone 2, but it just really did not work in this campaign. So yeah, let me explain. The driving doesn't really feel great. The cars, the way they bounce around, do not feel like real cars in any sense. Then you're actually supposed to get out of your car and jump on top of the roof and jump to another car. Very similar to a section in Uncharted 4 and actually Advanced Warfare, where you're on the highway jumping from car to car. But in Advanced Warfare, you weren't driving, you were just jumping from car to car, and I thought it worked much better. In this game, you have to drive, you have to shoot, you have to jump, and almost none of it actually feels good. I love the idea, don't get me wrong, but like I said, the mechanics just aren't there. It'll probably work in Warzone where you're playing against other people and not AI, but like I said, the driving just didn't feel great, the shooting from out of the side of the car didn't feel great, and the jumping. The jumping was the worst part. Like, you would try, like, you would do a little sprint, try and jump and make it to a car, and then you just wouldn't make it. You just wouldn't grab onto the ledge, you would fall and then have to start all the way over. And then at one point, there's actually like a guy dropping mines that you have to dodge. And like I said, the driving doesn't feel great, so it's like, man, this mission is not very fun. And the cherry on top of this mission is the fact that there's either no music at all playing, or it's extremely quiet and just not even matching the tone of what's going on. If you're on like a road and you're driving and you're shooting and jumping from car to car, you would expect a song to be like something like that. Something fast, intense, just to really set the mood, like, oh my god, I'm doing something awesome. And it's just quiet. It's just so quiet. You just hear people talking over the radio and cars. You just hear like their engines vrooming. And vrooming, is that a thing? You hear their engines vroom? Yeah, that sounds right. I'm not a car guy. It's not that the first half of the campaign is like unbearable, it just has some really low points and some missions that I just thought were outright bad. And when I played Modern Warfare 2019 and Infinite Warfare, which were the studio's previous two games, I never felt that. I never felt like there was a bad section of the games. Even the flying sections of Infinite Warfare I thought were a lot of fun because they were paced so well. They weren't like overbearing or anything, and a lot of them were optional and side missions. Also something different that Infinite Warfare did. Whereas this, the one big thing that they tried that was different was this driving section. It was just like, Did not work. And just to elaborate a little bit more on what I mean by bland or boring, it all comes down to very basic game design. I didn't think a lot of the shootouts you were put in were very fun overall, mostly due to the level design, the repetitiveness, or very often just the environment not being all that interesting to exist in. Wrap all of that in a narrative that isn't really interesting and it's just honestly hard to follow, which is nothing new for Call of Duty, and you get a very bland, basic, run-of-the-mill Call of Duty game. But it's not all gripes, despite the title of the video. I actually have some pretty positive things to say about this campaign and parts that I really loved, but unfortunately, there just weren't enough of these parts. I thought they really could have made a campaign out of these two sections of the game, so let's get into it. The boat mission that was in the gameplay reveal of Modern Warfare 2 is one of the best sections of the game. First off, the setting is fantastic. The environment actually moving, floating back and forth feels so different and trippy and just, it almost makes you dizzy, but like in a good way, because like your brain has to learn how to function to like just the whole level turning side to side. And it's like, how do I shoot like this? But it's actually possible and it feels really cool. But that's not the only element of the environment that I loved. While the boat is tipping side to side and you're shooting these enemies, that alone feels crazy. But then there's these crates in one section that are swinging back and forth. They're sliding from one side to another. And the way the enemies are placed in this section of the game, it feels like such exquisite game design. Like they know where the player is going to go, and they placed an enemy right where they should be to make you feel like an ultimate badass peeking around these crates, shooting everyone. There's guys out in the distance, you're firing at them, then you got these guys close to you. I love this section of the game. I honestly wish if it didn't make people too dizzy, that this whole boat section would have been like an hour long or 2 hours long. It's probably like 30 minutes long. And that's unfortunate because I really feel like they nailed the setting, the gameplay design. Everything on this part of the game was so cool. I'm probably going to replay that mission at some point because I loved it so much. And then unfortunately it ends sooner than you want it to. But then there's a big story twist. And I gotta say, I couldn't really follow much of the story, but you could tell that this was a twist because he was a good guy and now he's a bad guy. So I was able to follow it that much. The overarching story is like you found these missiles or bombs somewhere where they shouldn't be and you're trying to figure out where they came from, and then it unfolds and you get some interesting characters along the way, like this girl. Can't remember her name, but I thought she was a very enticing and well-acted character. But yeah, there's this big twist, and your character gets hurt, and then the whole game changes. It turns into a stealth game where you actually have to craft items to open up doors and safes and create shivs, and it's really cool. It's really different for Call of Duty. I honestly could not believe the two podcasts I listened to about this section of the game did not like it. They said it didn't match Call of Duty, and I'm thinking, guys, this is what I want from a Call of Duty campaign. Something different, something exciting. Of course, it's going to be go into an area, shoot some guys, move forward. That's what Call of Duty is to its core. But when new elements like this are introduced, I'm all about it, and this felt so different for Call of Duty. Going into a section completely vulnerable to everyone around you. This part was genuinely scary because you felt weak. You did not feel powerful at all. At one point, you're literally crawling on the ground, and you have to find some adrenaline into your character, and then he can move faster, and it's like, oh my god, my character's really on his last leg trying to make it through this section of the game. And it was perfectly scripted out, just like the boat section. From the boat section all the way through to the end of the stealth section, I'm like, oh my god, this is peak Call of Duty. This is amazing. Similar to the Nightingale missions in Vanguard. That campaign was kind of, you know, bleh. But the Nightingale parts where you basically feel like a snake slithering like under tables and whatnot and killing guys all stealth-like, that was awesome. This felt really similar, except you're way more vulnerable and it's actually scary because one or two hits from an enemy and you're out. Like, it is done. And I just really love this section because once again, everything felt scripted perfectly, but didn't feel too linear. I felt like I could go about things differently than someone else because there were some spots that you could go and explore. You could find like a smoke bomb, use it, sneak past some guys, or you could just simply wait for them to spread out and take them all out one by one. There's definitely different ways you could tackle this section of the game, which felt really awesome and different for Call of Duty. I would honestly love a whole game like this. Put one of these developers on a game like this. It doesn't even have to be Call of Duty, and I will play it. Like a slower pace, you're crafting, you're building, you're sneaking up, you're stabbing people. I would absolutely love this as a whole campaign. I wouldn't even have minded if this was the whole Call of Duty campaign. They just said, F it, we're going to do something different. You're going to be vulnerable. You're going to not even play as a soldier, but you're going to be in war where you have to adapt and craft things. I think that would be awesome, but I know I'm in the minority on that because Call of Duty just has to be what it is, which is shooting, going into a new area and shooting. They never really try anything super ambitious. Arguably, Infinite Warfare was the most ambitious, and then they caught a bunch of flack for that because people were so over space by then. It was all boots on the ground at that point. But yeah, I can't say enough positive things about this section of the game. I honestly can't believe people are saying negative things about this part. I absolutely loved it, and I was super happy when it came back at the end. I thought it was really bold to have the very last mission in the game be a stealth-based, crafting-based section where you have to control this thing, you have to listen to this girl over the radio. This is spoilers, by the way, but I mean, it's Call of Duty. It just actually felt really intense because there's guys swarming the area and you're trying to tell this girl some instructions over the radio, or she's trying to tell you instructions. And I just thought it was really cool and really bold, and the campaign ended. There was no big bad at the end where you had to fight a boss or do anything, big crazy set piece. I just thought it was nice, intense, and it was just really cool. It just felt really different for Call of Duty. But unfortunately, swinging on back around to the negative, these sections are way too few and far between. Like, the campaign overall just felt very samey, very like I've done this before, and that's unfortunate because Infinity Ward, I love them, their past 2 games, and I'll even give it to Ghosts. I think Ghosts is a bit underrated. There are some set pieces and some environments from that game that I actually really liked, but their past 2 games, stellar. This one, pretty disappointing with some really low lows, but some really high highs as well. Yeah, that's my thoughts on Modern Warfare 2. Everything that's wrong with the campaign, of course, in my opinion, but be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments section below, and let me know what you think of this new, it's kind of like a series, Everything Wrong With Game, something like that. I don't know. Might be a little clickbaity and probably won't work with a game that I absolutely adore, but it definitely works for Gotham Knights and then Modern Warfare 2. Like, I genuinely have problems with these games, even though overall there are things to enjoy about both of them. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that thumbs up. It would mean a lot, but if you didn't, hit that thumbs down. If you liked this video, definitely go check out my Gotham Knights review as well. Share this around if you agree with me. I don't know, maybe to a friend, your mom, your grandma. I'm sure they care. I'm sure. Let's just talk about it. Let's just be friendly with each other, you know? Maybe we can hang out, you know? Maybe we could just kiss. Thank you. I'll talk to you guys later. Goodbye.